just so that it can be shared with others and so forth. So my work basically has been to give people tools and so forth to access more of their consciousness, the knowing that they have within themselves. My expertise, if you want to call it that, is really my spirit, soul, higher self that actually does most of the communicating through me. We're just one in that. It's not like I go into channeling or anything of that nature. And the purpose of my soul being on the planet was to kind of restore the operating system of how it was originally designed 15,000 years ago when it was brought in, and actually what is real and what we've adopted as an idea of realism, which is only the opposite, unreal or false or whatever people want to call it. And so most of our work has been really for the last 35 years. It's actually been longer than that, but more in public the last 35 years is really basically working with people to access their own knowing, accessing higher consciousness, to actually be able to see how things actually work, because we're living an illusionary world that we have been programmed to believe a certain way, including all of the structures and rules and so forth. Because when we come here, we don't carry that. We are programmed to believe this is a way of life. We are programmed to give away what looks like sovereignty, free will, and all of that, because you have to fit in a mold or play a certain role or anything of that nature. So much of the work I do is reversing all of that so that people actually connect with themselves and able to see. And like Marco was saying, we right from the start, we are sovereign. And from the start, we have free will, even though many of us have believed that there is no free will because somebody controls us. Free will cannot be taken away. Sovereignty cannot be taken away. We can be believed or conditioned to believe that it's not there, or that somebody actually has control over us. The way, and you said one of the laws, one of the things is you cannot take away free will or sovereignty. However, you can convince someone how to use their sovereignty and free will to play a non-sovereign, non-free will game, or reality of sorts. So most of my work has been in that area. Now, one of the things I have access to, because my soul was directly involved with creating this planet and all the different programming and retooling, it knows how it actually designed the operating system originally before it got modified. And the thing is, we have to understand that as much as, what laws really exist, what we call, what is it called, Marco? You have a name for it.
Natural laws.
Thank you. In fact, there is no real natural law. However, there are recommendations, and also at the same time, there are certain parameters that are honored that we agree as a collective to play within. Now, we could say it's been violated because of the fact that, a rule of law has been put in the game aspect outside of the natural law. So really, the fact is, you cannot ever infringe any aspect of ourselves or anyone to be their natural state, to evolve on their own terms. Okay? So that's an agreement that's made. If there's any violation of that, it's temporarily to have an experimental experience, but it's not allowed in the sense because collectively we haven't agreed. Now, we have to understand there's levels of agreement here. There's the agreements of the humans on the planet. There's also agreements that is established within our solar system, which is all the planets that are involved in our solar system. But there's also a galactic agreement. And that galactic agreement is that all the planets that are in the galaxy that are directly connected with us, they're all connected, but in essence, some of the planets are more more direct connected. So we are direct connected to like 400 different planets in our quadrant of the galaxy. So there's an agreement there too. Because what happens here, we have to understand, whatever we experience on planet Earth affects not only our solar system, but also our galaxy. So there is a more of a reinforcement on bringing ourselves online and saying, okay, we have to agree or maintain the agreements that were made so that we do not dwarf or reduce or slow down evolution, reduce advancement of sorts, because each species is designed, which we're one of, designed to advance, to move forward, and never to stay in that old paradigm. Because we are source. We're spirit, which spirit is a facet of source that actually creates. And that is our innate capacities and capabilities that you cannot stop. So here we are playing on this playground, and the thing is, the paperwork and all that stuff that's being done and so forth is really just because we're playing with a system that makes us believe the system actually has power over us. The first thing, before applying anything that we're doing, we have to realize that it doesn't matter if it's marine law or any other laws that are put in place, that it actually has no jurisdiction over anybody. It doesn't matter if you have a birth certificate with a stamped number, it means nothing. However, it is imposed and acted in a way to make sure that, oh, you're owned by the financial system, you're owned by governments, you're owned by something, or elites, or whatever anybody wants to call it. But we have to understand, and this is very fundamental to understand, that that is not real. It doesn't have any value. And the same thing as anybody of any authority, because one of the so-called natural laws is an understanding there's equality. Everybody's equal. Nobody is more advanced than others. We can play different roles, but no one has power over anybody else, and no one's more advanced than someone else. We may be playing a role of advancement, but the thing is, nobody has authority over anybody else. There's different levels of experience that can be shared and can be brought in as a council, meaning a group of people coming together and saying, okay, we need to shape it this way or another. But that's the understanding that needs to be taking place. So the first thing we need to know, we have free will, we have sovereignty, nothing governs us, nothing has any power over us. Then from there, we can go in and create, and because the paperwork is really to unravel the system, but that's because a lot of people believe the system has power over us, that the system actually governs us. And because everybody's playing that role and everybody's reinforcing that role, we go through this exercise of reactivating our sovereignty when it was never taken away. It was a superimposed concept and idea. It really never had any solidity or substance of any sort. So we have to connect from ourselves, okay? And the other thing is a powerful tool at this time. You cannot see anyone as evil or anyone as deceptive. We have to see ourselves as equal. We're all role players, okay? So the thing is, it's not about breaking out of anything. It's really about non-compliance and choosing, hey, we're not going to support this any longer. And this is what's happening right now. There's a wave of people realizing that there's all these rules, all these factions, all these systems, all these control structures and so forth that really is not matching how you want to live your life. So you're basically in a position now saying, hey, wait a minute, this is not the game we're choosing to support any longer. And this is why there's so much. Some people call it a spiritual awakening. But what is spirit? Spirit is your source essence that's having a human experience. Now stepping up and saying, hey, we understand that we're not restricted by the game or whatever is playing out on the planet. We're free out of that. And now we can actually direct all of this. So it's really understanding that to its fundamental. And when you do that, you say, okay, we can't look at saying we got to blame the system, we got to blame these individuals or anything about nature. Realize that they're playing a role, and it's a polarized role. Many of us play polarized roles, good, bad, right, wrong, whatever it is. But you look at them and say, okay, they're playing a role, all right? They may be playing a negative role. However, that negative role has very little power until we buy into it and support the negative role. So we just say, hey, thank you for the role. Thank you for what you're playing for. However, we are no longer supporting it because we have chosen to evolve. We have chosen to advance. We have chosen to go into our natural state and create something that encompasses everybody rather than divides everybody, and things of that nature. That's kind of an interaction. I don't want to get too carried away, Marco, because this is your thing. I'm just sharing. I get carried away for sure, but I just wanted, to create some understanding, because the thing is, as long as you're fighting good, bad, right, wrong, positive, negative, you're still divided. Not only divided, but you're not accessing your full sourceness, because as source, as spirit, as the creator spirit, it only works in 0-point neutrality and seeing the beauty of all of it, but merging it, dissolving it so it doesn't have that same polarization. So if the thing is, if you're going to go fight the system, you're basically giving more power to the polarization. But if you're going into bringing clarity from a neutrality point, and neutrality doesn't mean you just stand there, do nothing. Neutrality is you do not fight the system, but you bring corrections or updates to the system saying, this is what we are choosing. This is the way we function. And then that's how we choose to work forward from this point. And also knowing that the paperwork and anything else, certificates or anything that anybody has given us in the sense of, little ID cards and whatever else, really has no value unless we believe it. And yes, you could say, well, we experience restrictions if we don't have it, but now we're re-educating people, reactivating within their own knowing that, hey, we don't need to be given rights, because the whole idea is it's a right to be on the planet, or the fact that it's a privilege. No, it's a right. Anyone that comes here on the planet at this point in time, as you take a form, you have access to everything. And no one can govern restrictions. So saying resources belong to such and such. No, resources are to be shared. And even intelligent and intellectual resources are also to be shared. Because if you want to see any progress, it's about cooperation, collaboration. It's about using everybody's highest skills working together to create an environment that benefits everybody. It's not the benefiting of some individuals, not others. And usually the others are the ones that are the largest amount of population. So it's really about that. Anyways, I'll let you take it away, Marco. It's all yours.
Oh, thank you, Frank.
You can ask questions and I can clear whatever. I know I'm a new one here, but at the same time, I've been doing this for a long time and I get excited about it.
No, that's beautiful. Thank you. I think unless there is some questions, does anybody have a question for what we've been shared so far? No, not yet. Okay. All right, very good. So,
yes, Marco.
Yes.
May I ask something to Franco?
Yes, yes.
Well, I would like to know more about when he spoke about some alliances, or that our beings have been programmed about 15,000 years ago, and so on. Where are the sources of that information? Where do they come from?
Okay, so just so we understand, a planet is designed as a video game program, and it is a playground. Okay, each planet is a constructed video game playground where we put in people, or beings in physical form of some sort, depending on the level of density on each planet. So planet Earth's been around for a long, long time. And what happens is every cycle, it gets retooled. And what I mean by retooled is that it's redesigned. So planet Earth gets redesigned every so often, and new physical forms are created, new physical forms are seeded. We had, just to go back to two beings, occupants of planet Earth, were the Lemurians at first. Then they had a modification that went into Atlanteans, and the Atlanteans put a lot of focus on technology and disconnected from their spirit essence, and created an environment that was unsustainable. And then, of course, they wiped themselves out. So right after that, shortly after that, a group of engineers, and these engineers are people like yourselves in possibly different forms and so forth, that are skilled in upgrading playgrounds. So they came along, and my soul was involved in, as the head engineer, to retool, redesign planet Earth. So they come in and modify it and put in a new matrix. Okay, so that was done 15,000 years ago. At the same time, they brought in life form, what we call sentient beings, life forms or consciousness from different planets, and reseeded the planet. So our plant life, all the different plants, different animals, insects, all the different birds and ocean life forms and so forth, were brought in from different planets. Some were left over from, say, the Atlantean age, Lemurian age, and there were some other ones before that, quite a few actually. But at the same time, now the forms, so each time that happens, it was reseeded. So this time it was reseeded again 15,000 years ago. These human bodies that we're in was only 15,000 years old, because it was a brand new redesign. And that redesign took 12 different species, their genetic codes and so forth, that reflected to our DNAs, and they were plugged in. Now, those species were all contributors that create this physical form. Now, we have, like when you're saying, how do we have any proof of all of this? Okay, I'm sharing it because I have access to it, but we all have access to it. When we start to connect and look at our makeup, we can see that this was how it was designed. Now, the 15,000 years ago was retooled. It lasted 5,000 years before we had intervention. Another species, a group of species came along and offered a different opportunity. Okay, that's 10,000 years ago. That's when the planet was modified. Okay, we're not operating in our natural design, because the first 15,000 years we didn't have to eat. The environment was balanced. We were connected with one another. Our energies were coming from the sun, the air, the water, and so forth. We were not dependent on food. We were not dependent on survival. Everybody worked in beautiful units. And we had that memory in our genetics, because we did have 15,000 years of that. Now, the memory resides in our body, because the body is an extension of Gaia. Gaia has the memory of the whole period of time, and our body's sentient consciousness has that memory. Our human entity, which is the soul that is only incarnating on planet Earth, has that whole history also available. When it comes to our interdimensional or multidimensional soul, it does not have that full memory, but it has partial if it incarnated here, but it also as an observer in other aspects of it. So we have that within ourselves, that memory. So when the 10,000 years ago, when it was modified, because that started 10,000 years ago, modified again in 5,000, 35, and 1,500 years ago, and 350 years ago. So each time it was modified, different species were involved that came in. Now, different codes were put in. You know, they brought in the satanic code, they brought the Luciferian hybrids in, or whatever, all that stuff, but let's forget that. So the world was very different before that to now. Then every planet has a matrix. The matrix is an operating system. The matrix is required for us to be able to experience the same thing amongst each other, so that we see solids the same way, we can experience it. We have our own interpretation, absolutely, but everything is there to it. So at that time, an inverted matrix was put in, where everything worked backwards. It was a closed loop, self-programmed. The moon was dragged in as a beautiful, powerful satellite at that time. And then we were installed with an operating system we call the ego. The ego is a software program that was installed in our left brain, and that our right brain is the intuitive brain, because the right brain actually communicates with our body, communicates with our human entity, communicates with our soul, communicates with our third eye, and communicates with spirit, and takes all that information, processes it, and sends it into the left brain, where the left brain creates what we call reality, where we see spectrums of field of light and in consciousness information as solid, as real, and so forth. So with that knowing, they plugged in this whole thing of the ego, which you'll notice is a software that actually keeps you kind of disconnected, keeps you, getting labeling, defining, and so forth. The inverted matrix created the opportunity for us to create all these systems. So the systems that we're trying to change right now is all designed from that inverted matrix, where everything works backwards. Government, if any form of government or council or anything comes in, it's about creating harmony, balance, and so forth, so that everybody has equal access and we can play together in a free opportunity. But our government's actually working totally opposite. It actually restricts, confines, and so forth. Same thing with education. It's about advancement rather than stamping on a cookie cutter, making everybody the same and restricting everybody. So you can see everything is, it works in reverse. And the ego is very powerful contributor to that, because it supports that. The ego, by the way, is artificial intelligence, okay? It learns how to play with you. It learns how to change you. It learns how to keep you in that world. Now, a lot of people probably heard that we were going from organic 3D, from 3D to 5D and all that stuff. We have to understand, the truth is, we're not going from 3D to 5D. What happened is, when all this inverted stuff came in, we went from organic 3D, and our planet was tooled to be an organic 3D and to upgrade to organic 9D. And what do these mean? This means levels of consciousness to change reality, to upgrade reality. And as you advance, you become more advanced, and you are able to use the body very differently. Your solidity changes, meaning how solid or how real it seems, as you advance in consciousness. When that inverted stuff came in, we went from organic 3D to inverted 3D and inverted 2D. So the inverted 3D was so that we actually operated in reverse. So the inverted 3D is about not advancing, but going backwards. And this is where we started to disconnect from consciousness, disconnect from our spirit essence, we disconnected from our sovereignty, our free will, we disconnected all of that stuff. So we've had 10,000 years of that. And since 1987, we started to reverse it. We speeded it up in 2012. We speeded it up even further in 2020. And now we're in 2021, advancing it further. So the answer, even though it's a long answer, is that I came here, and when I say came here, I'm not talking about Franco. Franco's a modified physical representation, but the soul came here because it was one of the main engineers to restore all of that. So it has memory of that. I have memory of many lives. I've been on different planets, on ships and so forth. I do that now too. I know this might sound bizarre, but the mind sometimes will say, no, that's not possible, but it is. Okay, I have. It's been like that for me, and I've always had that access. However, so what I'm sharing is really to trigger memories within each of us, because all of us have that memory of that life, of that way of life, and know the changes that have occurred. And even though there were hybrids put in that are in super high elite position, a lot of them are now been removed, and many of them are removing. The underground stuff is being removed. But at the same time, we we have to shift, because all the chain of events below that really depends on us bringing higher reality, because everybody's policing each other, everybody's following rules, but nobody questions the rule. Well, that was how it used to be. Now people are questioning the rules more and more. So with that, as we become more connected to ourselves, we will know. See, this thing has to either resonate with you or not. And if it doesn't resonate, that means that you haven't accessed that part yet. But the seed is still planted. Eventually, because I've worked with people over many, many years. Okay, I've worked with thousands and thousands of people. And I've been doing, workshops and everything else for numerous of decades, a few decades now. But at the same time, I've always stayed under the radar, and I've always shared a less amount than what I'm sharing now, because I had a lot of visits and a lot of restrictions imposed, in the sense, if you do this, we're going to take you out, whatever. I know I have a certain level of what people call protection and stuff, but at the same time, they made my life pretty difficult too. However, now I see that more and more people are holding this space and are more open to it, so there's less resistance to it. And more people are utilizing it in their own life and their own reality. So that's my really long answer to your simple question.
Thank you.
Yeah, Franco, I'm just wondering, your sharing is bringing so much information in few minutes, and I wonder, for many it's probably such a big quantum leap to digest all these incredible informations. And I'm thinking about how everybody are feeling about all this unexpected river of fascinating stories and interesting aspect of our lives. It seems like one thing I captured from what you said, Franco, is that sovereignty is a crucial part of the sovereignty is to start to remember who we are. I think they are interconnected. The more I remember who I am, the more I step into sovereignty, the more the illusion of that is in front of my eyes start to melt, and I pass through the duality game into a higher level of consciousness. So remembering how do we remember who we are? For me personally, there are different factors that trigger the process of remembering. And it seems like different soul came with different level of forgetfulness. It doesn't seem like everybody level to the same full forgetfulness. There seems like for different purpose, some remember a little bit more, some remember a little bit less. But besides that, it seems like the more I am myself, I give myself permission to be myself, the more I connect with my soul. And the more I connect with my soul, the more I remember who I am. And how can we be ourselves? What does it mean to be ourselves? I believe that each of us has within itself a uniqueness. We do have unique fingerprints, so we are all unique. And I think honoring and getting in integrity with our uniqueness by exercising our uniqueness, bring it up to surface, is a way to be more and more ourselves, and therefore start to trigger the connection with who we really are, and the process of memories. And to me, in my life, that was always a creative process, because this experience, what we call human experience, it is a creative process. Like everything in life is a creative process. I think Source begins a sequence of a creative process in order to experience itself. And we are part of this creative process, and we are ourselves creative processes. And so we are creators. We are the creators of our life. And the most effective way to be ourselves is to follow our joy. Because our joy is our soul speaking to us and telling us what to do. So my formula in my personal experience is to follow my joy by taking action, and then most of all, removing the expectations. Because if I add to the formula of the creative process the expectations, then immediately I get into contraction, because I expect something, and by expecting something, I start to be corruptible. I start to manipulate my situation because I'm concerned about the outcome. But if I just stay in the here and now, and I embrace my creative process by taking action through my joy without expectation, now I am connected with life, and I can download informations that are in their purest form, because the ego is not involved, because there is no expectations. There is just a genuine desire to connect with source and to create, so to bring something that didn't exist in these frequencies and bring it here in these frequencies. And this motion itself often, or I would say always, gives me more information about who I am and myself, and what I am here to do. And it's very much a part of my awakening process. So that how, as an artist, that's how I create my own, you can call it awakening, or call my own remembering who I am. And it seems like at this point of the game, it's really, really key that we connect with the soul, because we are fundamentally souls within an operating system, a majestic, amazing operating system, but which now is starting to be activated by the process that is occurring right now on Earth. And we need to connect with the here and now, because we have, as Franco says, we had this ego, which is a storyteller that tells us constantly story about what happened in the past, what could happen in the future, and we have a very, very busy mind, to the point if I tell you to the point that if I tell you, okay, close your eyes and don't think, you will see how difficult that is, because immediately start to count thoughts left and right. However, no matter how busy is our chatter in our brain, in our mind, between one thought and another, there is always a space. And in that space, there is a soul waiting for us. So our game is to stretch more and more that space, to allow to connect with the soul, and then allow the soul gradually to finally sit at our driver's seat. And every time we accomplish that a little bit more, we have access to new potentialities. We have access to new wonders, to new possibilities that before were not allowed, because the chatter of our mind was constantly distracting us.
Well said. Anybody else want to share?
What?
Yeah, sure. Well, for me, I want to talk about two experiences, and the basic story behind is that you first probably have to really lose yourself before you find yourself. Like the first experience in this regard is I had a horrible ex. No worries, I was never really abused, but you know, he really disrespected me, and I kept adapting to him. And at one point, when I more or less made up my mind that I will leave him, I told a friend, I told her, I miss me. You know, normally you say, I miss this person or I miss that. And I said, I miss me, you know? And so that's at that point I realized how crazy it was that I had adapted so much, and it was never enough, you know. So that was a very good experience, because then, yeah, I learned a lot about it. And the second experience was, in the beginning of the lockdown and everything, I was really miserable because I was so I didn't know that it. I mean, I fell for it, and then I stuck to the rules, which obviously made me very miserable. And then I started to get angry when I realized it was all fake. That was good. So the second experience was after the misery of the lockdown in the beginning, and then starting to find out if there's other people doing anything. On the 1st of August, I went to Berlin all by myself from Brussels to protest. And the spirit that was there, it was amazing. It was like everybody was on the same wavelength. If I had not been there myself, I would have laughed at you, you know, about the experience. It was, nobody was trying to manipulate anyone. You know, nobody was trying to be something that they were not. And then it was the same every protest. I also went on the 29th of August, etc. And everybody felt the same, like you could have left your backpack somewhere and it, you know, amongst those millions of people, and then go back and it would still be there. That was the feeling we all had. It. Everybody was completely honest. And yeah, also had it when, for instance, I met Tejas and Elke for the first time in the hotel in Berlin. It's also like, normally I have to tell everybody that is in an international setting that I'm sorry, but I can actually understand your language, so don't say anything that you don't want me to hear, because I speak so many languages. I always overhear. It's a gift from God. I always overhear things that are not meant for me, which is quite annoying. But I had the feeling that everybody was just being so upfront that there was no need for me to, I did it to someone else. Why am I telling this to this person? This person is not going to talk behind someone else's back, you know? So, but that was also because during the lockdown and being, I completely lost myself. And I had to go through that to, you know, find myself.
Yeah, what an amazing experience to lose yourself completely, isn't it?
Yes.
And then find you back.
Luckily, well, for me.
And the beautiful part about that is you're losing the identity that has been imposed, and you're finding the real you. That's the difference is.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So all these experience you had were perfectly orchestrated, I guess, by your soul in order to create what was needed for you to go to the next level.
Yes, because also otherwise I would not have understood, like when I met my current boyfriend, who's unfortunately stuck in Malaysia, but like we are not pretending to be something we are not. And I would not have appreciated that had I not first had a bad boyfriend. So that also teaches you something.
Yeah, I mean, you have experiences and then you adjust. And like Marco was saying, you become more true to yourself, or, you know, really going into your joy and say, okay, I'm open to have an experience with someone, a partner or whatever it is. However, I'm going to live my true essence in that relationship and not create a false facade or to play a particular role or feel that I'm less than or need to be dominated or I have to dominate. No, it's a matter of, because this is the thing, people misunderstand the truth about relationship. Relationship is not 50-50. Relationship is 100-100. It's creating an environment where you can be 100% yourself, living in joy and living in your self-expression, and allowing the other person to do so. And to be also open to not apply conditions and expectations. However, you have preferences, so you can choose to say, hey, listen, this game together needs to be a certain way for me to feel comfortable. If not, and you want to play that, that's fine with me. You could do that, but I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to be in your live stream. That's all. And it's really about self-honoring, self-respect of self, and being true to self. That's really what the main factor comes up with that. And, you know, when we're only losing, you know, a part of us that was illusionary anyways. And this is the thing. This is the process everybody's going. You're remembering who you are. You know, as a child, you were light, playful, you know, as a child, you didn't know you're a boy or a girl. You didn't know that, you know, you couldn't play with certain kids, or that you couldn't do that. You didn't even apply any of that, because it was not something that even came up for you. You just, oh, somebody to play with. You know, it didn't matter. It was later on that we get trained and conditioned that, oh, you're a boy, you're a girl. These people you can play with, that you can't play with. Oh, you got to follow the rules. You can do that, you can't do that, and so forth. And we get conditioned. So that's the reversing right now. Is reversing all of that, because as you do that, you connect more with yourself, and then you get to know, because we all, like Marco said, we all came here to be a beautiful, powerful expression. Everybody's unique. This is why we each have a different signature. Okay, and when I say signature, we're talking about soul signature, which is connected to soul families and an oversoul, but you know, even our human entity has a signature. And the reason there's a signature is that it has slightly different frequencies, so that it can express slightly different, to create variance, create variety. We're not here to all be the same. The system says you need to be the same, but you know, the system that's here that we're reversing, and we have to follow a certain set of rules, but really that's not our nature. And this is the thing. So we've come here to be a very unique expression. Now, the call-in for all of us, and especially if you're on the call right now, the call-in for us is to step into our role. Because all of us came here and said, okay, I'm going to play a particular role. However, for the beginning, I'm going to have the human experience, how it exists. I'm going to forget who I am. I'm going to, you know, play different roles. I'm going to go into the unconscious state just for a while to get a feeling. But the call now is, okay, we're done with that. Now we're stepping into our true role. We're stepping into our genuine essence and create an environment accordingly. That's where the call's coming in from us, from the depth of our beingness. The call is coming in, and we're getting supported energetically and otherwise to even bring that to the surface right now. And this is why more people are questioning, is this how the game of life is? No, this is not my preference. This is not my joy. Yes, and if you give yourself the opportunity, like Marco said, to connect with your joy, then you will be expressing and living a life accordingly. And the more you do that, more comes out. More genuine essence of you comes out. And all of this other levels, that I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, or I'm a garbage person, or I'm this, or I'm that, or a mother or a father, or whatever it is, starts to drop. Because then you're not those roles anymore. You could play the role, but you're not those roles. They don't define you anymore. You're basically this beautiful spirit being in a human form to bring your skill set, your experience, your uniqueness to this beautiful, multifaceted playground.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I noticed that, well, first of all, to follow our joy at this point, because all the programming that we have, it is really a true act of courage. I mean, we require courage, because we lost joy, our connection with joy as our natural state of being. Joy, we have been in such a compressed, dualistic experience for such a long time that joy now requires an effort. While before, when we were little children, was our natural state of being. Now we really have to find ways. Some of us don't even know what it means to be joyful. What do you mean? They confuse pleasure with joy. They confuse anxiety with joy. You know, so it's a lot of things we need to process at this time when we talk about joy. And at this moment, it is a step, a choice that do require courage, because joy always asks us to step out from our comfort zone. It always asks us to dare into the unknown. It always asks us to embrace the mystery of life. What I notice because we are in such a temporary level of fragmentation, what happens is that when we identify true organic joy and we step towards it by taking action, usually the first thing happen is that in front of us, life put in front of us all those things that are between us and our joy. It take from the dormant state everything that doesn't belong to what we really want to express the joy with, come to us, all the limited system, all the believing system that are limiting our action, that are based on fear, based on lack. We have to process those in order to reach out for the joy. So in my example as an artist, I feel guided to create something again. Okay, here we go. Another something that wants me to create. The moment I step into the creation, if I completely open myself immediately, whatever belief system that is within myself that is on the way, is interfering my desire to express whatever I need to express, it comes to surface, and I have to look at it, and I have to face it, and I have to embrace it, and I have to accept it, and then I have to let it go. So that's why to follow the joy at this point, it's such a transformational, powerful choice, and courageous choice that we need to embrace, that we can do.
Do I ask Neely to talk, because she was she want to tell something?
Sure, of course.
Neely?
Yeah, it's okay. Yes, thank you, Tejas. First of all, I want to say that it's fascinating what you both said. Franco, what you said is new for me, and is really fascinating. And I have a question to both of you. My experience right now is, I'm sure I'm not the only one, is the experience of war and the need to fight. And I want to find the way, how to say, to use your tools, not exactly tools, to use your way of thinking, to combine it with my experience and with my, I can even say my need to fight and to, I think I really have a need now to fight. So I would like to hear what you have to suggest about that.
Neely, can you tell where are you come from?
Yes, of course. I'm from Israel. I have just a second, a very powerful challenge now with the vaccines here, and this is my fight now. Not for myself yet, but for the elders here in Israel, which are really, really lonely, and they are vaccinated against their will, not in power, but in how to say, in frightening. They have really a terror in their elderly homes, and they're vaccinated without really the possibility to think for themselves. It's really awful.
Okay. Go ahead, Marco. You were going to say something.
No. Well, it's an amazing question. I think it's a question that many soul at this moment, this very polarized moment, have carry on within themselves, because there is certainly a first input of fighting back, or responding, reacting emotionally, and it's completely understandable. And it might be an experience that many of us needs to have. However, it comes to a point where we understand that the fighting is keeping validating the battle, and we understand that it's not as effective as if we I would say, step into a place where we are not responding emotionally, because fighting is an emotional response, I guess. It can be also physical, but it starts with an emotion. Do you want to elaborate on that, Franco?
Yeah. We've been easily programmed that if something is being presented that you do not want to support, that we fight. And as long as you're fighting, you're reinforcing the energy, and you have that conflict constantly. The understanding here is to go into self-empowerment. Self-empowerment is self-realization at this point in time, saying, hey, I have the right to do whatever I choose to do. And in fact, I can share this information with others so that others become self-empowered. So it's making a choice in a self-empowered state. I am not supporting being vaccinated. What I do support is understanding what this provides and educating people or sharing with people. Now, you have to give respect to people, saying, okay, if they don't want to listen, they don't want to listen. And I understand. Fear is very powerful. We've been conditioned and programmed to respond to fear. But at the same time, as much as the fear is there, there's also a knowing within ourselves, or an understanding, if you want to use those words, where if you communicate at that level with people and say, hey, listen, this is what is being said. However, we have freedom here to choose to be vaccinated or not vaccinated. You have the freedom, and we don't have to be afraid that it's going to harm us, or, that, we're going to be harmed because we don't have it, and we don't have to give power to that. So it's really, you can take, how can I say, a stance or a movement of educating or letting people know and doing, providing whatever resources, but you don't want to go fight the system, because then the system will fight back, and then they will use force. But when you don't have force and you say, no, we're making this choice, this is the way we're doing it, because we have our own free will and sovereignty, whatever you want to use at this point, then you're coming in from a self-empowered state. Because it takes two to fight. One, maybe, like you could have a victim and a victimizer. You can say, well, whoever's imposing is a victimizer, or the victimizer, and I just feel like a victim. Well, as long as you're a victim, that empowers the victimizer, gives more power to the victimizer to act even more aggressively. But at the same time, when you're going in empowered and say, hey, you could choose to say whatever you say, you do whatever you want to do. However, I'm not complying. And I'm not only am not complying, I'm not even going to give any attention to what you're saying. And I'm going to share this with others. And you'll find that you won't have the resistance to the same degree. Maybe at first to try you out until you get a little stronger, but it's really about self-empowerment. And this is the thing. It's not about giving in, and it's not about conflict, because riots don't work. A demonstration, a peaceful demonstration, bringing your message is way more powerful, and then you're not going to have the same reactions by the military or by police or anything of that nature, because they're seeing that you're not rioting, you're not destroying or anything like that. You're making a stand. This is what we are. This is our message. We're coming together in a large group to say we are not supporting, we're not complying to whatever is being mandated. And So it's much more powerful doing it that way. So neutrality is very necessary. And like Marco says, if you're going to go into fighting or anything, that's an emotional charge. Emotions, positive or negative, is weak. Emotions was never used as a driver. It was programmed for us to use it as a driver. You know, people say, well, if you don't get angry, you don't take action. Well, that's a program. And the fact that we got addicted to having anger to get us motivated is just that, an addiction. It's a program over a program. But the point is, you're stepping into a state or a space saying, okay, I'm not allowing my emotions to drive me. I'm coming from clarity. I'm coming from spirit sense. I'm coming from self-empowerment. Many of us, when we go into fear or anger, we are very disempowered, and we've noticed we made certain choices or reacted a certain way that were less than supportive. And that's just an experience, great. But if you give yourself the opportunity to experience the fear within yourself and let it subside just by allowing it to feel, then from that, you step into more an empowered state. So you're not here to suppress fear. You're not here to act on fear. You're here to acknowledge the fear, to feel it, and it weakens. And usually fear requires a story, like Marco was saying. An emotion requires a story. No story, no emotion. So you need to go into that. So when you're stepping into that and you put that out of the equation, then the empowered part comes in. So it's really about not reacting, but responding in an empowered state. Hopefully that clarifies it a little better. If you need more clarification, please ask.
Yeah.
Elke?
I want to. Can I respond to that before you?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank you very much. What I was thinking, it's really. I agree with both of you what you said, and I think maybe my role now is really to learn to fight, because I was really not talking about the emotional thing, not fear and even not anger, but the belief that I should fight, that it's the right thing to do. So, and I really think that maybe for me personally, it's an important lesson. It's something that I usually didn't do, and these times bring me to the awareness that fighting is something that I want to learn. I really want to learn and participate and how to say, Simon, can you help me in Hebrew? איך אומרים לתרגל?
To practice?
Yeah, exactly. To practice. Yeah, to practice fighting. Exactly. Yeah. So I think that maybe I can be enjoy and decide that I want to fight, because I really want to fight. It's my free soul choice.
Yeah, and you can. And the thing is, just realize it's an experience that you want to try out, and notice the feedback that you get when you play with that. And then if you feel that you're done with the fighting, or you gained enough experience with the fight thing, then you take a stance. And you go into that state, an empowered state of a stance, and saying, okay, I'm now going to share, I'm going to bring clarification, and I'm going to show that we actually have power, right, without the fighting. But at first, if that's what you want to play with, absolutely. There's no right, wrong about anything. You can experience anything. But at the same time, realizing that the feedback, you need to pay attention to the feedback and say, is this the most effective way to respond or to take action? Now, you will learn that when you notice that if you fight, you may get attention, and when I say attention, people are going to listen, and you can, get whatever's going. But at the same time, you can be very strong activists without the fighting, and bring the clarity without the fighting, and be insistent without the fighting, but that's, you have the freedom. Absolutely. Give it a try. Do whatever you feel guided. Always connect with yourself and say, okay, am I still doing this, or did I get enough experience of that? Can I shift it to a more empowered state? The freedom is yours. Everybody's a free spirit.
There might be also in the word fighting, there might be different layers. So the fighting at first is a response out of fear. And as we raise up our level of consciousness and awareness, then the fight, which is a very contractive word, but let's use it, then the fight become a responsibility in your vibrational offer. You understand that the vaccination in this case is a crystallization of the collective fear. And you understand that by responding differently, then you melt this fear. You contribute to this fear to melt, to disappear. Because the vaccination wants your fear. They want your fear. Only through your fear they can do what they do. And fighting usually is a fear reaction, a fear response. So I have to defend myself, and I have to fight to defend myself. And that's a wonderful experience, and nothing wrong with that. However, as you play this game over and over, you start to understand that, wait a minute, if I change my vibrational offer and I go from fear to a different level of knowing, for example, because you can see that in many situations, there are situations where there are big events, very negative events, and you can see that some people are affected massively by these events, and some people are less affected, and some are even not affected at all. What is the difference? Why some people are affected? In this case, some people get vaccinated and they probably die. Some people don't get vaccinated. Why there is this is not luck. It's not a question of luck. It's a question that the way how we respond to the experience to the offer creates the experience. So there are a number of ways to respond to vaccination, and fear and fighting is one of them, which will give us a specific experience. And we can change our response in different ways, and we will have different experiences. So we are in charge. We choose. Okay, life, you can say that life comes always to us in neutrality, neutral, because life wants us to be the creator. In the way how we respond, we have the experience. And once we understand that, then we become sovereign. We become really the powerful being that we really are, because we understand that we are completely the creator of everything that happens to our life.
Yeah, I understand. My mission is now to help others. I mean, I'm not in fear myself, but I feel that it's my mission to help the elderly homes.
And that's beautiful. Wonderful. And even there,
Marco.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but there's people
Elke want to talk first.
Free,
Elke.
And they get repressed. How real with this kind of thought? When you get repression, what do you do? Even if you're in peace, with joy, and being free, just being free, and you get repression, what do you do? Which is the way?
Did you say depression? Depress?
Repression.
Oh,
you know, total force against your freedom.
Okay.
How do you do?
So anything in that regards, when we're talking even defending or anything of that nature, first of all, if you are truly not operating where you are in a very natural, peaceful state, you become invisible. People don't even see you that want to repress you. Okay? Now, at some points, the repression is going to step that boundary and say, okay, you need to do this. In an empowered state, you just say, yeah, thank you for the offer, but I'm not complying, or I'm not interested in whatever you're offering at this point. Even Eastern masters, they never instruct to fight. they instruct to divert. So in fact, if somebody's punching you, for example, then you just put that energy that's coming towards you and you divert it away from you. Basically, because you're not going to cooperate. As long as you're not in the fighting mode, because you lose power when you're fighting and you get into the depth of it. So in essence, you know, I've experienced a lot of things over in my life because I've worked with this for a long time. I have children. My children are old. My daughter's going to be 39, and my daughter's going to be 30. And my son's going to be 33 this year. So, and I have grandkids and so forth. My kids never got vaccinated. That meant 39 years ago or 38 years ago now, I was going through the system and nobody even talked about it. But so I had a lot of reactions towards that. What did I do? I looked at it and I go, okay, I'm going to find a solution. Somehow I'm still sticking to my guns. No one is going to vaccinate my kids. Okay, so I took whatever action was required. I took action. I didn't go fighting. And whatever they threw at me, they said, well, you know, we won't allow the kids. Hey, that's okay. I'll find another school. I'll find another way. It doesn't matter to me. We're not doing that. Sorry, we're not doing that. I was coming from an empowered state. Even my own family had said, you're crazy. You're jeopardizing your kids. Your kids are going to, you know, are going to get sick and they're going to die and so forth. And I go, no. You can believe whatever you want. I have the same capacity for my sake, and that's it. Even my ex-wife at the time used to fight with me. So we didn't go through that route. My kids still today, and my grandkids, none of them are vaccinated, just to give you an idea. So I took a stance because I knew that that was not going to be supported. And just to give you an answer, my kids never got vaccinated. They travel internationally. Okay? Never took anything. However, at the same time, they never even got sick. All of their cousins and friends at school and so forth, they got all vaccinated, whatever, they were having those experiences, you know, getting sick or whatever it is. So my point is, I took the stand and I also shared it with other people. Hey, listen, this is what I've noticed. This is why I'm choosing it. This is the information I'm working upon. And if you choose to look at this, then that's great for you. You know, if you choose not to and you want to go into fear, it's okay. You can go there.
Okay, Franco, I'm going to interrupt you because I want to say I have to leave soon. It's beautiful. Thank you for Marco Massinetto. So, and also your empowering words are very nice and very true until now. Because I think that now, also as Lucia said, we have another situation in which life is not only challenging us to be those powerful people and creative people, but there is a psychopathic extraterrestrial power taking over everything. As to know, I mean, there are camps in Germany, and we are the people that are going to be medically discriminated, and we are the ones that are they are planning to put us in those camps. So I think I understand, and there is repression. So I'm a medical doctor. I'm they say an activist, but it's not so true. I'm not so much rallies, but I'm making some interviews, and I'm thinking, also disclosing about almost, not that it's an extraterrestrial war, a galactic war, but I'm not saying that because they would wipe me off immediately as a complete crazy person. Here I dare to say these things, but we have deep psychopathology and an anti-human policy here. So I hope that you are right, that that this joy, I know it helps because I use it all the time. I've been using it, but and it works for me. But now I have, a letter from the inspection of the healthcare institutions that I should really stop saying these things because I'm giving misinformation, which I'm not giving. but it's quite heavy, and yeah, the repression is soon to be coming, and the discrimination if we are not getting a vaccine, we won't travel, etc. And I think the fighting of Neely, you can say also, Neely, you should just stand in your right and in your power. That's the best thing. It's like a martial art more than the fighting modus where you are going to hit somebody. But I share the what can we do as activists to bring this over without being ridiculized. It's quite a difficult mode now. And I went to the community house this afternoon, and there were two NSB SS, like German people with the caps, to control me, coming to me before I could reach the lady that is diverting me to another local to get my driver's license, my new driver's license. It was an amazing experience. It is a concentration camp, and I had to show them my paper that I don't have to wear a mask. But I mean, it's a concentration camp now. We are in a concentration camp in our own houses. We can't get out. Also in Argentina, I know that Lucia is in Argentina. 180 or 200 days of lockdown in your house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
yes, it's like difficult to say, I'm going to be joyful and wait and see. It's like you need to, they are attacking your mind, your body, your everything. They're taking away everything from you.
From our children.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
the thing is too, I mean, we're locked down here too. We're not allowed to go unless you have to go to a store or to a doctor's appointment of some sort. You're not allowed to leave your house. All the stores are closed. The only thing is the grocery store where you can get food. A couple of things are open here and there, and that's it. There's a lot of mandates here and so forth. You can't even have a visitor to your house. And the only person that can come to your house is one person if they're actually taking care of somebody, or else there's not even a visit allowed. So we're very familiar with all of this. And so we have to play in such the game where, yes, you connect with yourself and you feel that so-called joy, whatever else, but you're also taking action. I'm sharing information to people, and I say just basically, this is information. It's for you to take or not take. It's up to you. It's your choice to do whatever it is. And I can give you an example. If I go to the store, okay, sometimes I'm not thinking about it, and I walk there, and nobody even notices that I don't have a mask on. Sometimes they do. And if they say, well, you got to leave if you don't want the mask, then it's my choice. I either leave or say, well, I have to do my thing, so I'll just put on the mask. And I'm smiling underneath the mask because I'm not afraid of it. I'm not even fighting it. And then at certain points, I bring it down. And if they come out later on again, they say, you got to put it all the way up. I go, oh, okay. And I always keep it loose anyways. And at times while I'm doing whatever, I just put it down. Nobody notices, right? So it's a bit of a play, but I still, if that's the playground I'm going to go in and that's what they're enforcing, I'll put it on temporarily, whatever. Because over here, they're not even giving you exceptions anymore. Like you have the exception, you can go in and say, well, I have the papers that I don't have to wear the mask. But at some places, doesn't matter. No, you're not allowed. That's it. So then I put in.
How are we going to target and not react to an extraterrestrial attack that is in all the systems, all the programming, in all the people that are surrounding us and all the institutions that are surrounding us, the schools, the hospitals, the doctors? How are we going to make clear to those people that they are being programmed and that the vaccination is all about the genes? It's all about the genes. They're going to be a lower kind of people that are not able to they're going to be sterilized. They're going to be cut off their soul frequencies. So, and those people are going to fight us because they they're going to be completely alienated from what it is to be human. So I think I really love the story, but I mean, how are we going to? I want to think about that, because I think it's a space war. I think we have to make this podium of war much bigger than what we are looking at. Let's not look at the mask. Let's not look at the PCR test. Let's not look at the virus. Let's look at those extraterrestrials and make contact with that. And we have to fight that. And that is a spiritual war. Now, how do we go there?
Well, most of the terrestrials that you're talking about are not even affecting the planet anymore. However, there are a lot of people.
That's what they say, but it's not true. Reptilians, they're not going away.
No, the ones that have human bodies are still here, because they're still feeding off the fear. They're still feeding off our lower state of being. So the point is, you can share that and actually, make a movement or whatever as educating people, making them realize, and you can be as forceful as you want. But the thing is, as long as you're fighting it, you're still giving them the juice, because they only operate in a very low frequency.
I'm not afraid at all. I'm not afraid at all.
That's perfect.
I'm stronger.
But you don't want
I'm stronger than them, but where are they?
What do you mean, where are they?
I want to have an affrontation with them, not with those poor people that are programmed. How do we get ourselves into the arena?
Well, I don't know if you want to go into that arena. I've been.
Yes, I don't want to. I want them off.
We already are.
What's that? Sorry.
What did you say, Lucia?
I don't want them in the arena. I want them off the planet. Just good people, not evil. Evil, bye-bye. I want that.
And this is the thing, they cannot sustain themselves, especially with all the energies that are happening right now. Like, I've been involved in all of this stuff for a very long time, since birth, okay? They've tried to push me off the planet many times, okay? Because they didn't want me here. But at the same time, I realize that they're vulnerable. At the same time, I realize that they can only manipulate and convince people to act a certain way so that they can actually still have power. The point is, they're losing their power, and they have been losing their power. Except there are hybrids on the planet, which are so-called elites that are half reptilian, or what we call draconians and Anunnakis, and half human. And a human is already, hybrid as it is, but there's that blend. But they're losing the power at this point in time, because the thing is, the planetary vibration is going up. We are awakening. We are taking our stance in an empowered state. So the only assault that we're still seeing is the last final push to push us over the edge. Because what happens here? Many people want change, but they're also expecting the change to come, the fact that somebody else is going to fix us, or a savior is going to come in, or anything of that nature. The moment we step into more self-empowerment and say, no, we're not playing here, no, we're not supporting this, then your vibration is much higher, and then they have no power. Because this is the thing. Why did they control the media? Why did they control all the systems, all the different organizations? Because they have no power. They cannot they don't have hands-on to us, but they can condition and program us. And this is why the onslaught of the media and everything else convince us, we got to be afraid, this thing is deadly, we got to have the vaccines, and we have to have all of this stuff. The media and everything else is promoting that, because that's the only access they have. That's one of the natural laws. You cannot interfere. You can convince them to interfere, but even that's dissolving, that they're not even able to
Franco, so you said, if we, for example, I don't want to use the mask. I'm not using it. I never put a mask. Even I have a certification not to do it, in case that some policemen, and I never had problem. So taking that example, if you put a lot of people not using the mask because they don't want to, you win.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
we have a problem because we have like 10 years to convince all these people, not to convince, to learn them, to teach them, to show them.
of course. There's
That's
a few
point.
things.
Our goal to meet each other on Thursday is really to remember I am. We open this space to talk with the people they know about OPPT, because we are in one moment, we reach one moment where we won't take contact with the people. They decide to be sovereign with the I am. And when all people tell to himself and to the others, I am, I think that we will win. But we need really, this I am is a breathing movement. And to breathe will, to breathe really in ourselves, it will rompere, casser, break. It will break the system. And yeah, I think that in my life, I already a lot of experience about autodetermination. I could go through a lot of things, and I can tell you that I'm very happy because I did what I wanted, what it was necessary to me. And in this moment, the situation is so extreme, so paradoxal, that I see how I can go out because it's so paradoxal. And then I try to put again through the breathing. In breathing, I can also feel joy. But it's really difficult in this moment, this balance to find. But it's really a breathe process. And when you think that they put us the masks, they know that. So taking this consciousness and you are breathing, really we will break this what they want to do with us, this breathing. Okay.
And a mantra that you can use, and then Marco, you can go. The mantra you can use, which I find very powerful and I've shared with people, is it's part of what you said. I am. I am source. I am the creator. I am the created. And I am the observer of creation. And you say that over and over again, whenever you can, while you focus on the breath. It really brings to the surface the most powerful state of yourself, okay? The other tool you can throw in, which I've also been teaching for a while, is that when you're doing that process, you can ask your soul to fully embody. So you can say, soul, fully embody my presence. Activate home frequency. Home frequency is the highest frequency that your soul has experienced from its multidimensional state. Then after you've done that, you can say to yourself, I now activate the highest source essence within me to be expressed fully, okay? And by doing those, and then you will see that there's not only another energy that comes through you, you feel that very powerful state, and then even clarity of how to navigate and how to play with whatever comes to the surface. And you're able to be much more effective in any movement that you're doing, because this is really about a movement. It's about educating. It's about bringing people out of the spell of the programming, okay, that we've gone through. And once you deprogram yourself, and this is why, you know, we go into this process of letting go of the past, letting go of, you know, old labels, definitions, and so forth, beliefs, concepts, and ideas, because what you're doing is you're deprogramming everything that was that reptilian version of creation that everything was backwards anyway. So just using some of those tools are very, very powerful. And I've been teaching it, and people that have been using it have found tremendous benefit from it, and to be able to better navigate from it. So,
can you repeat the words that you said?
Which one? Where do we start?
No, the last tool that you said. Tell yourself,
like all the highest frequencies.
Yes, yes. So I'll just repeat that part. So you just call in your soul fully embodied. Okay. So you ask your soul to fully embody and to be part of the experience, because your soul does leave time to time. Then you say, activate full or home frequency. Activate home frequency. And that home frequency is the frequency that it has access through all incarnation and all dimensions. Okay? Home frequency, very powerful. Then you say to yourself, I now activate my highest source essence, to be fully embodied. Okay, so what you're doing is you're basically tapping into your source essence, the spirit essence of yourself, the highest version of that, to come into that. Okay, you can add into, I also invite my body's innate consciousness to also to participate. This creates a powerful shift within yourself, and you're much more in that empowered state. And then even if you were having anxiety, or even if you were dealing with a big problem that you can't find a solution, once you've done that, and you've done that a few times, you will notice that all of a sudden there's a clarity, a calmness, and you can see the bigger picture. Because what happens is, when we're fighting, we see the picture like this. We go in and we're trying to see the picture like this. But when you're in an empowered state, you're now seeing the big picture. You can see all the things that are playing out. That way you can now select how you can strategize your next step. If you're going to make somebody wrong, you're now trying to prove them they're wrong. When you see the dance of the big picture of what is playing out and what the options are, then you're sharing the options. You're sharing, hey, this is really how it works. This is what we have capable of doing. We are not here to give power to the restrictions or limitations or anything else. We can do something much grander than that. And that's the thing. So use the tools to really access more of that powerful being. When you do that, even the so-called aliens of lower frequencies cannot access you.
Yeah. And can you repeat the things that you said before that? I'm the creator? You said four things.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you say, I am source, I am the creator, I am the created, which we create ourselves. So I'm the created, and I am the observer of creation. You repeat that in a mantra to yourself several times, and I'm telling you, you will experience a huge shift in that. And repeat it every so often, because it brings forth a remembrance that you are everything that is. You are source. You are that spirit that creates. And when you say, I am the creator, you're now empowering your true innate abilities as the creator. We're always creating, but the thing is, a lot of times we don't realize that. And then I am the creator. I have created myself, like you have created yourself. And I am also the observer of creation. These are all powerful statements with what was shared there. I am source. I am the creator. I am the created. I am the observer of creation.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say one little thing is that I think this, do you see me or not?
Yes, we see you.
Okay. I also do this, but sometimes I forget it, and it's a big difference. And what I do also when I do big things or when I feel repressed, I ask for help from light beings to as much as as much as I need, in front of me, next to me, behind me, and to protect me. And then it's true that when you interact with anybody or anything, things are different, totally different. That's true. I can talk, and sometimes I forget it, and I notice that I'm more in the concentration camp than other times, sort of. Yeah. Okay, I have to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Elke. Thank you, Elke.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Everything that you're doing.
I would love to get back to the empowered state, which Franco was talking about, because many of us who are using these documents are experiencing the same thing, which is we feel so empowered by using them, because it's like we connect ourselves to our inner self, and we have a tool to believe in ourselves and in our power, because normally in our daily lives maybe we are too scared by all the news that the media are telling us. But with documents, we have a tool that we can rely upon and use it to empower ourselves and feel that we can go through all these, and we can decide for ourselves and not be I don't have the right word, but we don't have to believe in everything that they say. And through these documents, we are experiencing that the police, when we, for example, go outside, we don't even see us, because we believe so much in ourselves and in our power that they seem not to even look at us. We can go in the streets, or we can drive the car and they don't stop us. But that's because I think we have so much power in ourselves, and we believe so much in ourselves in that moment, that the energy just flows and they don't see us. That's what we are experiencing now with these documents. And it's some of us are telling that it's like magic. It's like magic, and we are surprised every time it happens. So I just wanted to
that's
share your experience.
Point. Yes, that's really good what you just shared, because the thing is, you have to understand the documents are just a tool, but the empowerment is you. Because you feel that, oh, I'm taking steps and I feel empowered, you're activating that empower. And that's basically what I had said earlier in regards to where you become invisible. Nobody even bothers you anymore, because of the fact that you're in that empowered state. What happens is, it's like this. Let me give you a simple example. I'm sure everybody's familiar with a radio or a TV, okay? When you're empowered, you're changing the channel. So what's changing? You're just changing the frequency, and now you don't see what was playing before. Say one channel has violence, another channel has a love movie, okay? So you're shifting into that love movie. So all you're playing with is everything that you're watching in the love movie. You're not watching the other. The other one is still there, but you don't see it, and it doesn't interact with you, because that's what we're doing. So as soon as you step into the empowered state, you're at a range where even, what was being said before about, the entity or even the aliens or whatever else of a lower frequency, you're invisible. They don't even want to come close, because you're actually taking the power away from them. You're taking their energy, right? Because if they're in negative and you're having a higher vibration, then what's happening is diluting or weakening their side. So, oh no, I don't even want to see them. I'm going to go play with the other ones that are still there. And there's lots of those. So, yeah. So see the empowerment within yourself with the exercise I shared. And then, use the tools. And some people need the tools. But really, when you're doing the tools, remind them that that's just the tool. Really, it's yourself that's going into empowerment. It's not anything that gives you the right for empowerment. It's you are giving yourself the right to empowerment.
I want to say something about that. I don't have those documents, but I have a lot of contact, let's say, with the police because I have a mask exemption. And I don't. So I think I'm stuck here. Sorry.
No, we can see you.
Yeah. Okay, it's moving again. And actually, I just spontaneously go to the police. When I see them, I say, "Hi, I'm sure you want to see my mask exemption," and and it's 99% of the case, it's a really positive experience. And it's like I've even had police officers that it's like they did not want to leave me because I was giving them so much good sovereign energy, and they get to deal with so much negative things because people talk very badly about the police on social media, but trust me, 99% of police officers are really unhappy. I can tell. And I had even experience where I almost wanted to joke to the police and they were so close to me when I had to sign a document when they took away a copy of my exemption. Actually, I knew it was going to happen. I went to go to have this experience that they weren't going to take my exemption. But I always want to say, so what, you want a hug or what? It was a very, on a human level, it was a fantastic experience. So, and I just go to the police, I smile, I say, I have a mask exemption. Okay, and what does it look like? How are you? And blah, and it's extremely positive. So
absolutely, that's beautiful. And the thing is, you have to see that they're doing their job, what they're told to do, but most of them don't like doing it or even reinforcing it. But if you're not going in and seeing them as the villain or seeing them as the bad person, and you see them like you're just saying that they're nice, they're just like you or whatever else, then the interaction is totally different. The way you communicate, they feel more peaceful because they're not having the clash, because the police don't like that either, right?
Yes, I think they're happy to have a normal citizen. So that's giving them something positive. And even it's a shame that Elke is no longer there because there's this talk about these camps in Germany, and these camps also exist for people that are not doing their quarantine. Actually, when I go to Germany, I'm supposed to, which I go several occasions, I'm supposed to quarantine for 14 days. And then when I meet the police and they ask me, I show them my exemption. And then they ask, how long have you been in Germany? And then I was, shit, is it because if I'm here too long, I need to have a German exemption, or is it because of the quarantine? And shit, what should I say? So I was in Germany for 7 days. You should be in quarantine for 14 days. I said, I'll tell them 10 days. And it's, so I'm going, I've been here for 10 days. And they should tell me to be in quarantine, but they don't. And they never do. They never ask me about it. I have to admit, I speak fluent German. That made it change. But they ask me, but then they never ask me. They never tell me to go into quarantine or if I've been in quarantine long enough. The police are not stupid. And all these rules, it's just to intimidate. Same thing like you're supposed to fill out an app that you're arriving to Germany when you're from a high-risk zone, which Belgium, you would think half of us are dead by now, but we are not. Last time the app didn't even work, so I didn't even bother with it. And there's these arrows on the floor in the train station where you're supposed to go to have a test. If you follow those arrows, there's nothing there at the end of the arrows. It is pure intimidation. I think if you asked a staff member, where can I have a test? They would be helpless. They would not know who to call to test you. It's pure intimidation. So when I came back to Belgium the other day, they were handing out forms that you need to test because you can only leave Belgium for 48 hours. I stuck to that in the beginning, but I don't do it anymore. Otherwise, after 48 hours, you have to let them know, etc., and get a test and quarantine. I just took the document from the police where they have the explanation, and I said thank you, and I just walked on. Nobody comes to see. I mean, it's pure intimidation.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is a structure that is all built on fear. So they need your fear to keep the structure going. And they are interpreting a role so that we can face those fear and then let them go and go back to our full power. So they are facilitating our awakening with their polarization. So all this game of right and wrong, bad and good, and it's all a game that the more it grows in polarization, the more pushes us towards addressing our fears and overcoming them. And because they can deal in an amazing way with fear, but they have no idea how to handle love. They have no idea how to handle love. They are completely discombobulated by the frequencies of love. So they are, by asking us to fear them, they are creating a perfect playground for us to go in touch to our love as a response. And once we do that, we remember how powerful we are, how amazingly powerful we are. So this is a whole game, but it has just this purpose, because it's all an hologram and it's all an illusion. And in addition to that, we have an amazing tools that they don't have. We have imagination. So we can play with this and say, okay, what can I do with this? What can I create with this? This limitation, this restriction. How can I have fun with it? Paradoxically, you can even have fun with it. You are having fun with it by how you respond to the policeman in a different way, in a very creative way, and you see how they respond to that, right? So in a way, you can turn the whole experience reverse and make it actually even fun. It seems like a little bit outrageous what I'm saying, but it is so, because I'm experiencing that. For example, I am wearing, sometimes I wear the mask, but I don't have any emotional charge about the mask. I have zero judgment about it. I put it off, I put it on. I play the game. I'm not emotionally involved with the game. So for me, it's not, I don't even think about it. And most of the time I forget that I don't have a mask, because I'm not embedded in the game of you have to put the mask. And most of the time nobody say anything. And when sometimes people say something like that, I don't get triggered with an emotional response. I say, oh, you're right, of course, the mask, yes, and I put it on and I move on with my life. So by doing like this, by growing into our self-love, by using imagination, by becoming more and more neutral, we disempower the system, and the system starts to collapse. And that's what is happening right now, I think.
Yes, I don't wear a mask, and I get some aggressive individuals.
Yeah,
I can deal with them very well because I'm super sweet until I literally fight. I mean, I've never had to hit somebody, but I can really defend myself. So that helps for self-confidence. But most people are in general less aggressive than in the beginning. It's not, where's your mask? Now they're just, did you forget your mask? And actually, they usually now just ask after I've already paid. So and there's no point anymore.
Right. So you see, the game is gradually changing from being extremely dramatic and contractive. It's starting to become more and more playful, actually. And that's you. You are transforming the game with your vibration, with your frequencies. You are the power. You are in power of the game. You are the orchestrator of the game. The more contractive you responded, the more you have a contractive experience. The more you are become more neutral. You feel love. You feel non-judgmental about it. The more the game start to change and become something else. Because that's how we create. We are creator by vibrating a different frequency, tuning with different frequencies. So you get into different versions of the game based on how you respond to it with your vibration. Because there are infinite amount of version of this game that we are playing, infinite. There is one that is really, really, really dark. There's one that's really, really light, and there's an infinite amount of slight difference version of it. And you can tune in different versions based on your vibration. That's how powerful you are. So, and that's introduce the idea of responsibility, so the ability to respond. So, and then we understand how kind of silly it is to feel victim, because the way how we respond to it, responsibility, that's dictate where we are going to tune in, which frequency we are going to, which narrative we are going to embrace, which version of the narrative we are going to tune in with.
I think Neely wants to say something.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Why I forgot your name. Inge, thank you. Yes, I wanted to say this in the beginning of the week. I had conversation with Tejas after I had a big drama in my family, which I did everything I could to stop my mother from getting vaccinated, and I didn't succeed. And the thing was, the spiritual thing that we thought to bring here was the dynamics in the family, which really got to kind of war. And I was thinking that I felt that the thing should be, I mean, that the answer should be compassion. I mean, the answer from my heart should be compassion, because I understand that my sisters chose war because of fear, because they really think that if they make a dialogue with me, they will not succeed. And they really think that the vaccination is important. So they chose war and they succeeded. And I was thinking that the highest level that I can react is compassion. And yet it's very challenging. So that is my question. I mean, I really want to get to this higher level of compassion to them. And at the same time, I feel that it's very challenging.
Yeah, there's a couple of different types of compassion. The compassion that a lot of people refer to is compassion where you feel bad or feel sorry for somebody, and you get involved in their emotional experience. The true compassion, or true design compassion, is a self-realization that everybody has their own journey. And with love, you can share something, but you still provide them the opportunity to make their own decision. And you could say, well, maybe they don't know better. But the thing is, that may be so on one level, but on a deeper level, they know better regardless. So they know that they have that option. So one of the things about compassion is realizing where they're at, and that they're going to have only the experience that's going to serve them. So somebody can have a vaccination and they could have a negative reaction, of course, or they can die. But at the same time, they may have no reaction, or they may just have some alteration that they don't even notice in the symptom way. But the thing is, it's up to each individual. You have to understand that we actually, and this is what Marco was referring, that we actually govern how we experience and react and respond on a physical level and within our environment or reality around us, based not only on our frequency, but where we put our focus in our consciousness. So in essence, I've had to play with compassion myself with my family, because my family, I'm not talking about my own kids, because it's just my kids, really, all my extended families and so forth, they're very much with the narrative, whatever they say they do, whatever. But I also noticed they started to shift a little bit too now. So even my brother's starting to question a few things. Well, something doesn't make any sense. But in general, it's whatever they go through. It's up to them. I love them regardless what choices they make. And that's it. And that's what true compassion is love and appreciation for someone's experience. You can share what you see, but allow them to have their own experience. You're not going to fight with them and so forth. And if somebody does, that's okay too. But hey, it doesn't matter. Like when people say to me, well, they're saying all that, and I go, yes, a lot of people believe that, and they can believe a lot of things. But right now, to me, it does not resonate. It doesn't make any sense. Well, look, those are the facts. And I go, well, I look at the facts, and something doesn't fit right about the facts. So I don't fight with them and say, no, you're wrong. You shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't get vaccinated. No, I go, I listen. from my observation, that's a good word, from my observation, from what I've seen, and I'm open-minded to look at things, I'm seeing all these sides, and somehow something doesn't come clear to me to say, yeah, that's the way to go. No. And I'm just letting you know, I know people that have had negative reaction. I've had people that had, different reactions and so forth. But at the same time, from my observation, it's not something that feels resonant to me or feels that I want to do. When you present it that way, because the key here is not to fight somebody, and because nobody wants to be wrong. Okay? Self-realization of wrong, that's okay. If they're going to figure out, oh, I was mistaken or I misunderstood. But you're not going to go in wrong. If somebody says, no, you're wrong, I go, yes, I could understand that you're seeing this. I can understand it. I appreciate where you're coming from. I understand what you're trying to say here. But when I'm looking at it, my observation and my way of looking at it, it just looks different. So from my observation, this is what I've noticed. Then you're not creating conflict, And even when somebody says to me, well, don't you believe in that? And I go, I don't, but that doesn't mean you don't, or anybody else doesn't. To me, I don't believe it because it has to make sense to me. It has to feel good to me before I give it any power. So right now it's not, and that's it. And it changes things, and people, because now it's informative. Now it's like an opening, rather than being wrong, because people don't like to be wrong.
Yeah. Okay, I would like only tell you that I have one more video. Do you want to continue to do to stay with the other people, Lucia? Because I will go now. Lucia, I don't hear you. I don't hear you.
Yes, I need to close this one, even if I'm having trouble with my internet. I need to open another one soon, another meeting. So maybe 10 more minutes and I need to go.
Okay, I will go now because I have already one more meeting now. And then I would like tell Nicola, I'm very, very glad that you are with us tonight. And then when you want to come again, you can talk with Marco. And Erika, thank you very much that you are with us. I don't know if you go also in ISOFIA Italia.
I'm not in ISOFIA Italia tonight.
Okay, so I'm very glad. Then Marco, I will call you after that. It's okay? Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have to stay on. We can.
Okay.
Thank you for having me on, and it was great. Maybe I talk a little too much, but
no, thank you. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nili.
Franco and Marco. It was a great meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you both.
Thank you, everyone.
You guys are all special, so we'll see you again.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Ciao. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Franco, for coming.
Sto respirando.